Okay, to find u sub 10, that would be the 10th term in this sequence. We'll need a formula. Let's see, Soren, can you tell me the formula we use for this blue problem to find u sub 10?
A n equals a 0 plus n minus 1 times d.
Very good. All right, so for those of you following along at home, you should pause right now and try to use that formula to find the 10th term in the blue sequence. Then find the sum of the first 10 terms. And if you don't know the formula for that, we're going to give that to you right now too. So I'm going with St. John. Can you tell me the formula for finding the, adding all up the blue one for the first 10 terms? Where's the general formula? Nice. Now some of you will memorize it a different way, where the a's sub zeros get added together and it says 2a sub 0. Just adding them together. A sub 0 plus a sub 0 is 2a sub 0. Okay, good. All right. And then again, for the kids at home that may not have access to the formulas, for the red one, Taddy, can you tell me for a geometric, how do you find the fourth term? What's that formula we need there?
Times r and then to the power of n minus 1.
N minus 1, very good. And then can you help me with the summation one also?
Yep, it's going to be, yeah, I'm just trying to find it.
It's up on the board too if you want.
Oh, yeah, a of 0 times 1 minus r, the n, over 1 minus r.
Excellent. And last but not least, Goldberg, could you tell me the S sub infinity? Said it wrong. Sorry. I'm going to go with Nola. On the board, you see S sub infinity. Can you read it?
A sub 0 over 1 minus r.
1 minus r. Awesome. Now, we're going to plug in all those numbers, but those of you at home, you should start by trying to find those 4 things using those 4 formulas. No, 5 formulas. Pausing while you give a chance to do that. All right, so tell me how to do the u sub 10. Sticking it into that formula, what do I put where?
For a sub 0, put 2 in.
2 there first. Okay, keep going.
For n, put in
10, and then d?
And then d, put in 4.
Good. So this is 9 times 4 is 36 plus 2. Did you get 38?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, who's got S sub 10? Tyler, fire when ready.
Yeah, it's 10 over 2.
10 over 2,
Plus 2.
and that's this one. And then that's this one, plus 2. Okay, keep going.
Plus 9 times 4.
Plus n minus 1, which is 10 minus 1, which is 9, times common difference, 4. Can you simplify that down and just tell me the final answer, Tyler?
I got 200.
Anybody verify 200? Okay, good. Then we're moving on to this one. Tadros, what's a sub 0?
2.
And r?
1/3.
Close. 1/4. I'm pretty sure ours R is 1/4, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, here's how you can do it. You would have done this divided by this. 1/2 divided by 2. And if you have a half of a cookie and you divide it into 2 parts, you have a fourth. So that's why it's 1/4. Okay, to the, keep going.
4 minus 1.
Okay, so 2 times 1/4 to the third, and that's 1 over 64. So I think it's 2 over 64, so 1 over 32. May I verify 1 over 32? Excellent. That's what they add up to? No, that's what the 4th term would have been. All right. And S sub 4 max.
2 times
A sub 0 is 2.
1 minus 1/4.
1 minus R is 1/4. Good. To the
4.
all over.
1 minus 1/4.
And save me some time. What does that all simplify down to?
85 over 32.
Did anybody else get 85 over 32? All right, and I think if you just, yours answer isn't reduced, you might not have that same thing. If you used a calculator, you definitely have something different. All right, so, then, oh, S of infinity. Who has that one? Somebody just volunteer, and then I won't call on you for a while. Alec. So, what's A sub 0?
A sub 0 is 2.
Okay, so 2 over what?
1 minus 1/4.
Excellent. Then what did you do first then?
I, like, simplified the bottom.
Yep. So 2 over 3/4, and then what?
I flipped the 4 up to the top.
2 times 4 over 3, so
8 over
8/3. And if some of you are really annoyed by those, you could say it's 2 and 2/3. All right, and that's what that infinite series added up to. If it doesn't bother you that we're adding up an infinite number of things, then it should. It should fundamentally feel wrong that we're adding up an infinite number of things and yet coming up with a exact answer. That's not to say it's wrong, but it's weird. Okay. Then, how do you write these as the blue sequence there, where we were adding 4 each time? How do you write that as a summation? Soren, I'm going to ask you for this one. Okay, not good at that kind. Let's give, how about this? I'll let a volunteer ask. Give me this one. Jack, how do you do this?
You have the, from what you're going to,
From what to what?
1 to 10, 1 on the bottom, 2 on the top.
1 to 10. Do you guys get where that came from? You always start with 1, okay? And then how many terms do I want? 10. So then you go 1 to 10. Do you get if you start with 0, it can get weird, because then people think 0 to 10 is 10 things, but it's not. It's actually 11 things. Okay, so, and there's other reasons that starting with 0 would be bad. So we all start with 1, and if you want 10 terms, it's 1 to 10. Then we need a formula in there, Jack.
You put what u sub n would be?
Yeah, so like this formula right here.
No.
Oh, sorry, I'm highlighting the wrong one. This formula right here. Except we know some things, like we know 2 is a sub 0. So we go 2, can you do it that way? Don't simplify it all the way down, just tell me what this formula would be, except with the numbers plugged in.
2 plus n minus 1 times 4.
N minus 1 is 10 minus 1, 10 minus 1 is 9, times, okay, the problem is, if we do that, there's no room for n. So, can't do it exactly that way. You have to have an n.
Yeah, I said n minus
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. So, what exactly should we do?
parentheses n minus 1, and then times 4 on the outside.
N minus 1 times 4. So you look back at it and make sure that it's got an n in there, because that's where you could plug in these numbers. Always has to have a variable. Now, if there's any of you that distributed that all the way out, totally fine. That'd be like 2 plus, and you distribute the 4 out, and you'd have 4n minus 4. And then you simplify that down further and said 4n minus 2. That'd be fine. Okay, the one on the bottom. You need a formula. This one's the geometric one. So I go for the geometric formula, and it's a sub 0 times r to the n minus 1. And then I go back and stick in all the things I know. I know this, it's from 1 to 4, because it wanted the 4th term, right? Or some of the first 4, sorry, is really what I'm doing here. And a sub 0 is 2. Put a 2 there. R is known. R is 1/4, because it was that divided by that. And we need an n, right? So we leave that in there. I think that's not something that would be easy for most people, but did anybody have these answers before I said them? A rare group of about 5. Okay. All right. So that's something that you all hopefully just learned how to do. You use the formula here. That's the key. You put the right formula right there, and you just stick in the numbers that you know. And you'll always start with a 1. And then what you end with, of course, depends on the problem. Okay, so I think we've covered most of what you need to know now for this whole chapter. And we do have some review days left and stuff, and there's some new stuff. But I wanted this day to be a pull together everything you've learned so far kind of day, and then have time to work on homework. So we have the notes posted that are the same exact notes from yesterday. And I shouldn't say it that way. They were posted, but I was gone yesterday for the whole rest of the whole day. And so those same notes from yesterday have the homework in it. All right, so if you look in yesterday's folder, you will see the notes, and the homework is at the end of that. Work on those problems, and I should be available for extra help up here. And then next week, we will wrap up this chapter and test on it, but it won't be like on Monday. It'll take a few days. And that's all I have for you for today. Actually, I'm going to do one more kind of problem. I thought I was wrapped up there, but I just realized there's one more kind that we have talked about more than once. And we should practice that kind too. And that's where, if I give you a number like 10 is my starting term, but I don't tell you any more terms. But then I tell you that the 12th term is 100. You'd have to know something more to be able to do everything with this sequence. I haven't told you a critical thing. Can you tell me one more thing that would have to be given? Yes. Very good. Whether it's arithmetic or geometric. This is an arithmetic sequence. Okay, so if it's arithmetic, you have to be able to say, oh, I can figure out everything. Like, I can figure out what they're adding each time. I could figure out the 4th term. I could figure out okay? So let's do that. Let's figure out what would be the 4th term. And to figure out the 4th term, you're going to for sure need to figure out the D. Once you know the D, it's not that hard to find the 4th term. All right, so this is arithmetic, so that should mean, okay, 2 formulas come to mind. Charlotte, of the 2 formulas that are on the board for arithmetic, which kind do you think we're talking about, the top one or the bottom one? Yeah, the bottom would be for adding them all up. So if I just want the 4th term, we use the top one. Could you read me the top formula there?
A sub 0 plus n minus 1 times.
Good. That formula has to equal a sub n. Well, we know a sub n. We know the 12th term is 100. That's the hardest part right there. Then that's 100. Now we know some other things, and we can solve for other things. Jacob, can you help me finish this one?
So it'd be 100 equals 10
10 goes here.
plus 12 minus 1 times.
And there's 12, and you gotta have one variable left, so D is the one thing we don't know. Okay, awesome. So then, I'm gonna rewrite this, 100 equals 10 plus 12 minus 1 is 11D. So what will be my next step to solve it? Subtract 10, we got 90 equals 11D. Robbie, finish it up. And you get? Just say 90/11, that's it.
90/11.
Yep, that's okay. D is 90 over 11. And was that the actual question? No, no. The actual question was to find the fourth term. D was part of it. If you haven't already, everybody find the fourth term in the sequence that would start with 10. And the 12th term would be 100. You can find the fourth term now. It's all about knowing which formula to use when. Now, the kids that have the formulas memorized will have an advantage, but we are going to give you the formulas on a sheet. So why is it any advantage? Because you don't have to go figure out which one's which. If you already know, saves you a lot of time. So if I want the fourth term, that's the a sub n formula, which we just had right here. So if I want the fourth term, I really want a sub 4. Teddy, tell me exactly what to put into this formula here to find the fourth term.
10 plus, then for n I put 4 minus 1, and then difference is 90 over 11.
Okay, so then it's 10 plus 3 times 90 over 11. 90 times 3 is 270. 10 plus 270 over 11 isn't bad, but we are in honors pre-calc. We should be able to finish this off, at least get it a common denominator. If you haven't already, everybody, get this to have a common denominator and add them together. I don't want decimals because in the real world, you would not have a calculator for this test. You're going to be sitting there trying to do it by hand, so Kira, what's a good common denominator?
120 over 11.
That's not a common denominator. What's a good denominator? 11. Okay, so I need times by 11 here. And what'd you get here? Yep. 110 over 11 plus 270 over 11. And now you can tell me the final answer.
380 over 11.
Yep. There you go. That make sense? Okay, so that's when they tell you a starting term and not much else. They do have to tell you more than just a starting term. All right, let's see if you could practice that kind by doing this. Geometric this time. And it's going to be, starts with 2. And we'll just say multiplies by something unknown. So that the fifth term is, let me think. You know, it doesn't have to work out really nice. Fifth term is, oh, but it'd be really nice if it did. Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to go with third term is 18. Then I want the sum of the first 10 terms. All right, pause for a second. Let me give that a try. You're using a formula, right? Where a sub 0 was the first one, and then it was 2. And you was geometric, so it's r to the n minus 1. And then what'd you put in there?
3 minus 1.
So you knew that this was a 3. Now, I'm going to go 18 equals 2 times r to the second. Divide both sides by 2, 9 equals r to the second. Sweet, r equals 3. And you just lost a point. Who knows why? All right, this happens. I've warned you at the beginning of the year. It happened over and over and over again. Patrick caught it. Yep, when you square root this, you have an absolute value of r, which means there's two answers. The square root of 9 is just 3, but the absolute value of r means that there's two answers. R equals 3 and r equals negative 3. There's two r's that could work. So then what's the sum of the first 10 terms? Well, now that we know r, it won't be that bad. We have to use our, you can use r as 3 or r as negative 3. You're going to get the same answer either way. Weird but true. No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. You would get two different sums because one of them would only have positive numbers in it. And the sum of the first 10 terms would all be positive, and that'd be a big positive number. The other one would have negative numbers in it. So it's going to be two separate sums. I bet most of you used r equals 3. So let's do that part. Sum of the first 10 terms. Lainey, do you know the right formula to use for a geometric sum of?
S of n equals a sub 0 times 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r.
Yep. Nice. Now, can you help me put in the numbers? Let's use regular 3 first.
A sub 0 is 2,
Yep.
r is 3, and n is 10.
There we go. 2 times 1 minus 3 to the 10th. Are you kidding me? It's massive. You'd have to use a calculator, or you'd have to go simplify this a little bit. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Did you notice that you could cancel these 2's? And now there's a negative 1 on the bottom. You realize a negative 1 on the bottom is just going to take your answer and make it negative, right? So I could just do this. I can't just forget about the negative, but there. That would be an okay answer without a calculator. It's a massive number. The negative on the outside will turn this number, which also would be negative, back into a positive. So basically it's about 3 to the 10th, but not exactly. Okay, and then how would it be different if r had been negative 3? Well then, if r had been negative 3, it would be different, because if there's a negative right there, when it gets put to the 10th first, before this negative gets applied, that's going to give you a different answer. Or wait. Oh no, that's not it. It's down here, where this negative 3 will turn into a 1 plus, because it's two negatives, 3. And so it end up being a 4 on the bottom. So you wouldn't be able to do the little cancel trick. So there would be, final answer on this one, if you used a negative 3, would be 2 times parentheses 1 minus negative 3 to the 10th. It is true that this 10th power will cancel off that negative, so that ends up looking a lot like the other one, but on the bottom, it'd be 1 minus negative 3, which is really 1 plus 3. So you get a different answer. Okay. That was kind of intense, but I'm glad I remembered that last part, because now we're pretty darn close to having everything you'd need to do well on a test. And again, I'm going to turn you loose on homework for the rest of the time, for real this time.